안녕하세요, 여러분. I'm sorry the class was delayed. It's postponed by an hour. I'm so sorry to, have you keep waiting and also, have your schedule mixed up if any of that happened. 너무 미안해요, 여러분. 일단은 안녕하세요, 쌤. 안녕하세요. 여러분 많이 오셨네요. 잠깐만요. 타니카님 댓글이 보이고 아이고. 케이스님 댓글이 보이고 James, 이거는 this was before live. 리나 머셔님, 안녕하세요. 그리고, will this live be recorded? Yes. Every single live classes, every single live stream that I have are provided in a form of a playback automatically. 그 다음에 태민님 오셨네요. 안녕하세요, 태민님. 대체님도 오셨고, 잠깐만요. 왜 이렇게 불편해? 모사님 안녕하세요. 처음 뵙는 것 같네요. 대체님도 오셨고 키스님, 카일님, 레시엔님, 타니카님 안녕하세요. 트래블님 모두 안녕하세요. 여러분, have you had a chance to check out the files, the class files, and also the entire transcript in the description box? 루크님도 안녕하세요. 여러분 모두 안녕하세요. 여러분 오늘은 제가 요거 그 paper I'm trying to do on paper class, right? On paper. 그래서 한번 let's see how it goes. 네, 왜냐면 I have to switch back and forth between the script and also the grammar sheet. So I thought maybe this might be more convenient for me. 그래서 이렇게 했는데 아무튼 여러분, 네. 그렇고요. So let me start the class, guys. 그럼 수업을 시작해 볼게요. So today we're going to study the movie script together as announced, and it's from the Korean movie 아빠는 딸. The English title is Daddy You, Daughter Me, and you can find the full Korean script of the movie on my website. But for this session, we will only go through a few scenes from the first quarter of the movie. So like the first 25 minutes of the movie, and we'll study for around 6 scenes from the script. And as we read line by line, I will explain like the key vocabulary and grammar points. And also, guys, I have another file up with the script for the first quarter. So this is the file for the first quarter of this movie, along with the English translation after each scene. And also, if you scroll down, you will also get to the list of vocabulary, not just words, but also some of the fun slang expressions. You will also find some of the swear words, some of the vulgar words in the second part of this list, and also some of the commonly used phrases that appear on the movie. So all of them can be found in the description box, and this way you guys can study the rest of the scenes that we won't be covering in the class on your own using these materials. 그리고 여러분, 네, 욕도 있어요. 욕도 있어요. 이게 it's a funny movie, and it also has a dad in it, like an 아저씨. So 아저씨 says a lot of swear words. So naturally, there are some swear words in the movie, but it's always in a fun of mean-spirited context. But anyways, guys, before I start the class, for anyone looking to watch this movie, it's currently only available on Netflix Korea and also Apple TV Korea. So you might need a VPN access. You might need a VPN to access it. But if you're not familiar with VPNs, there's actually another option, which is you can search Daddy You, Daughter Me full movie on YouTube search bar, and you'll see that somebody has this movie up on YouTube. But just to be clear, that video wasn't uploaded under fair use, so it might be taken down sooner or later. And also the video quality isn't great. But still, if you guys are having trouble like accessing VPN or having trouble finding another way to watch it, I guess you could use that option for the time being. But next time, guys, I'll try to choose a movie that's available on Netflix internationally, because that way it'll be more accessible, right, to more people. And more people can actually enjoy the class because they will have already seen the movie, right? So 네, I'll try to do that. But this is my first time doing a movie class on YouTube. So 네, let's see how it goes. 네, so all the files, all the related files, including this grammar worksheet, you can find it in the link in the description, guys. 아무튼 그렇고요. Will the stream be saved? 네, it will be saved. 일단은 그러면 여러분, before we start with the first scene, I think we have to cover this grammar first, the indirect quotation grammar first, because there are so many expressions that stem from this grammar. So I feel like it would be kind of useful to have them all organized before we start. So the indirect quotation grammar is used when you want to say like somebody said this or I said this, right? 그래서 그럴 때는 when you're using present tense verb, so the form is different. The suffix that is used is different depending on whether you use a verb or adjective or ida verb. And so for verb, when you want to quote a sentence that has verb in it, that ends with a verb, you add nin or 는 suffix. So for example, my friend said she eats Korean food. She eats Korean food. You can say 친구가 한국 음식을 먹는다고 했어요, right? 먹는다고 했어요, because 먹 ends with 받침. The suffix that you should be using is 는. And if you want to say, my friend says she likes Korean food, then you would say 좋아하다 plus 니은 받침, because 좋아하다 does not end with consonant. So 좋아한다고 했어요. So you would make quotation sentences like this, 는다고 하다. And as for adjective, you don't have to add any suffix, just adjective stem and then 다고. So for example, if you want to say, my friend said Korean is easy, you can say 친구가 한국어가 쉽다, just the stem. 쉽다고 했어요. You can just use the stem. 쉽다고 했어요. 그리고 when you're using ida verb, it naturally follows noun, right? Like something is noun. My friend said she is Korean. Then you can say 친구가 한국인 or 한국 사람, 한국인이라고 했어요. You would say this, right? So this is a quotation grammar for present tense quoted sentence. And if you're quoting a past tense sentence, then it's very simple. You can just conjugate the verb or adjective or ida in past tense and then add 다고. 했다고, 먹었다고 했어요. 좋아했다고 했어요. And for future tense, you can conjugate it in future tense, right? And add 을, 거, and then it should be 라고 this time, not 타고. And for future tense, you should be marking the quoted sentence with 라고 instead of 타고. 그래서 whenever you come across 타고, 라고, you can see it as quotation grammar. 그리고 there's another form of quotation grammar, which is when you can only quote imperative sentence, as in to tell somebody to do something or to ask somebody to do something, as in requesting or commanding, demanding, or even asking favor, right? In that case, you can use 으라고 하다. And since you can only ask someone to do an action, not to be at a state, but an action, it can only be used with a verb. So 뭐뭐 하라고 하다. 예를 들어서, my mom told me to eat fast. 엄마가 빨리 먹으라고 했어요, right? 먹으라고 했어요. This time, it should be used with 으라고. So if the stem ends with a 받침, then 으라고. If the stem ends with a vowel, then just 라고, right? 으라고. We're going through it very, very quickly. 그 다음에, if you want to say to invite someone, if you want to quote a sentence where somebody invites you to do something, it's 자고. You can mark the sentence with 자고. So for example, my friend asked me, as in invited me to go hiking. You can say 친구가 등산하러 등산하자고 했어요, right? 친구가 등산하자고 했어요. So 자고 is for invitation. And lastly, 냐고 is for question. 냐고 is for question. So for present tense, you can simply add the stem and then 냐고. Past tense, you just conjugate it in past tense and then 냐고. And future, 을 거냐고. So for 타고, 라고, it's for just declarative sentence, plain sentence. And 으라고, it's for imperative sentence. 자고, it's like saying, let's do something. 그리고 냐고 is for question. So this is all the basics that you need to know about indirect quotation grammar. So like I said, guys, there's a reason why I thought we needed to kind of go over this before we start. So let's start with the first scene. So I told you guys that we will be covering 6 scenes from the first quarter of the movie, and we will see the first scene first. So this is the part where a dad is watching back a videotape that was filmed when his daughter was younger, like a little kid. And it shows the conversation they both had. So a conversation between 아빠 and her young daughter, whose name is 도연. So 아빠 and 어린 도연, let's see what they're talking about. So 아빠가 물어봐요. 아빠가 잡았어? 라고 물어보죠. 잡다는 catch라는 뜻이에요. So it's like, did you catch it? And 어린 도연이가 잡았어 라고 했어요. 그랬더니 아빠가 야 이쁘다, it's so pretty. And 노랗다, 노랗다는 yellow거든요, yellow. So she's giving immediate reaction to the leaves. Oh, it's so yellow, it's very yellow. 그랬더니 도연이가 난 커서 아빠랑 결혼할 거야 라고 했어요. 난 커서 아빠랑 결혼할 거야. So here 크다는요, 여러분, I'm sure you guys know 크다 as an adjective that means to be big, right? But it also is a verb that means to grow up. So it's a combination of 크다 plus 어서. But here, 어서 doesn't mean so, right? It more means after that. So 커서, it's like after I grow up, 난 커서 아빠랑 결혼할 거야. 아빠랑 결혼할 거야. So 결혼하다 means to marry. And in English, you guys say you marry someone, right? Someone becomes an object of marrying. But in Korean, we say we marry with someone. So the particle that we use it with is 랑 or 하고. 이랑 하고 결혼할 거야. I'm gonna marry you, dad. Oh, literally, I'm gonna marry with you, dad. 그랬더니 아빠가 정말? 도연이 약속할 수 있어? 도연이, can you 약속하라? Can you promise? 약속할 수 있어? 그랬더니 도연이가 약속 이래요. 그쵸? 그리고 아빠가 약속, 만약에 도연이 커서 딴 남자 좋다 그러고 아빠 싫다 그러면 아빠 막 엉엉 울 거야 진짜, 이렇게 말을 했어요. 일단은 볼게요. Let's see what 아빠 says here. 만약에 뭐뭐 하면. So 만약에 is an adverb that comes at the beginning of a sentence when you're making like hypothetical situation or imaginary situation. So 만약에, in case that happens in the future, 도연이 커서 when you grow up, 딴 남자 좋다 그러고 아빠 싫다 그러면 아빠 엉엉 울 거야 진짜. 딴 남자 좋다 그러고, 일단 여기 볼게요. 일단 여기서 딴 하면요, 딴은 다른이에요, 다른. 딴 is a kind of a colloquial way to pronounce 다른, which means other. So 딴 남자 is like other men, other guys. 좋다 그러고 여러분, 여기가 this is where the quotation grammar is used, but as you can see, you only see 다 without 고. And this is because in the quotation grammar, when it's used in colloquial context, like conversational context, it's common to omit 고. It's common to remove 고 and just use either 다 or 라 or 자 or 냐. So it's okay to remove 고 when you're speaking. 그래서 what she basically means here is 다른 남자 좋다 하고, 좋다고 하고, you say that you like other guys, and 아빠 싫다고 하면. So basically, if you grow up and say you like other guys and hate dad, then 아빠 막 엉엉 울 거야 진짜. 엉엉 is an onomatopoeia word for crying. So I'm gonna cry my eyes out. 엉엉 울 거야 진짜. Seriously. 그리고 여러분 여기 그러고 verb 쓰였잖아요. 그러다가요. 그러다 is often used colloquially to mean to speak, to say. 그래서 이게 이제 you can think of it as an alternative verb for 하다. So 좋다고 하고 좋다고 그러고 both mean to say 좋다. 좋다 하고 좋다 그러고. So 딴 남자 좋다 그러고 아빠 싫다 그러면 아빠 막 엉엉 울 거야 진짜. So once again 그러다 here means to say. So if you say this and if you say this, I will cry my eyes out. And then 어린 도연 says, 딴 남자 다 싫다 하고 아빠랑 결혼하면 되잖아. 딴 남자 다 싫다 하고 여기도 싫다고 하고랑 똑같아요. 싫다고 하고 아빠랑 결혼하면 되잖아. Marry dad 면 되잖아. That works, right? That's the solution. 그래서 여러분 일단은 면 되다가요, 여러분. I'm sure that a lot of you guys know 면 되다 as an expression for instruction, and that's true. But here's a more like nuanced explanation. So 으면 되다는요, it suggests that a particular action or condition is all that's needed to achieve a result, and it implies that it's a simple or sufficient solution. So in English, it can be likened to saying, you just need to do that. You can just do that. It's enough to do that, depending on the context. And it's often used to give advice, offer solutions, or explain requirements. So here, it's basically the daughter is giving solution. That works. You know, I can just marry you and say no to other guys. 딴 남자 다 싫다 하고 아빠랑 결혼하면 되잖아. Right? 그랬더니 아빠가 진짜? Really? 도연이 그 마음 변하면 안 돼. 그 마음 변하면 안 돼. 이렇게 되어 있어요. 일단 그 마음은요. 이제 that heart죠. The heart that 도연 has right now. The heart of like loving his father that much to an extent where she wants to marry her dad. That heart 변하면 안 돼. 여기서 변하다 하면은 change라는 뜻이 있어요. 근데 I'm sure you guys know of 바뀌다 too, right? 바뀌다. So 바뀌다, 변하다. Both mean to change. It's an intransitive verb that means to change. But to explain the difference between the two, 바뀌다 has a more like broader usage. So 바뀌다 can be used for changing, for changes of like personality or essence as well as appearance. Like what appears to be. Changes on the outside. Whereas 변하다 is more for fundamental change, such as like essence, quality, rather than what appears outside. But 바뀌다 can also be used for those things too. So that's why I said 바뀌다 has more broader usage. So 아무튼 도연이 그 마음 변하면 안 돼. You change that mind. 면 안 돼. So 면 안 돼 is basically the negated version of 으면 되다, right? But these two have slightly different usages. So 면 되다 is more for like, you just need to. It's like offering advice, solution, instruction, or requirement. Whereas 면 안 되다 is like prohibition. Like you must not do that, or you should not do that, or you're not supposed to do that. To do that. Excuse my handwriting, guys. So the condition not allowed or is inappropriate. 그래서 그 마음 변하면 안 돼. You shouldn't change your heart, 도연. That's what he's saying. And 아빠가 나이를 먹어서 그런가 자꾸 눈물이 난대요. 나이를 먹어서 그런가 자꾸 눈물이 나네. 일단은 나이를 먹다 하면 literally it means to eat one's age, right? Eat one's age. And what do you think it means, guys? 나이를 먹다. 무슨 뜻인 것 같아요? 나이를 먹다. Literally, it means to eat your age, so you get older. You get older. 나이를 먹어서 그런가 자꾸 눈물이 나네. 이렇게 말을 했는데 일단 여기 보시면요, 여러분. 뭐뭐 해서 그런지 아니면 뭐뭐 해서 그런가. It expresses a guess or assumption about the reason or cause for something. So if you say 뭐뭐 해서 그런지, the second clause, it means maybe because it's the first clause that the second clause is happening. 뭐뭐 해서 그런지, 뭐뭐 해서 그런가. 그래서 나이를 먹어서 그런가. Maybe it's because I'm getting older that 자꾸 눈물이 나네. 아유, 자꾸가요. 여러분, if you cannot see the text clearly because of what I write here, you can feel free to open up your own file that I linked in the description box. All right, I cannot I try to keep it clean, but it's hard, guys. It's really hard when I try to speak and write at the same time. It's hard to be conscious about keeping the note clean. So I recommend that. All right. 아무튼 자꾸 constantly 자꾸 눈물이 나네. So 눈물, tears, 나다, happen. So 눈물이 나다 means like you cry. Tear comes to you. So you tear up. 이런 뜻입니다. 그래서 so this is the current 아빠 speaking while watching back the old video between 도연 and 아빠. All right. So far, do you guys have any questions? 여러분 여기까지 혹시 질문 있나요? We just covered the first scene, and from just one scene, we have so many grammar points and vocabulary to learn, which is amazing. 네, 그래서 아주 좋아요. 아무튼 혹시 여러분 질문 있나요? 지금까지? 질문 없으면 다음 걸로 넘어갈까요? 그리고 I also thought about sharing, playing the actual movie on during class, but that's not possible because of copyright issues. YouTube literally blocks copyrighted content. 네, especially if it's a content made in Korea, then it's not allowed, especially in Korea. 그렇기 때문에 I really hope that to make the class more enjoyable, and maybe less tedious, we could play the clips, we could watch the clips together, but that's not possible on YouTube. Can you please repeat the meaning of 도연이? 도연이가 이름이에요, 이름. 여러분, 도연이 이름이에요. 도연이 does not have any meaning. It's the name of the daughter, alright? 여기 써 있잖아요, 여기. 도연이, 어린 도연, young 도연. 카밀라님, you don't have a question now. 그리고 okay. I'm so glad. 좋아요. 괜찮아요? 도연 is the female main character. 맞아요. If you guys don't have any questions, I'll move on to the next scene. 다음 씬으로 넘어가 볼게요. 일단은 여기서도 there are many important grammar and vocab in the scene. 일단 보겠습니다. 도연이가 짜증을 내요. 진짜 이러면서 막 짜증을 내요. She gets annoyed. Then 아빠 asks, 왜 그래? 왜? What's up? Why are you like that? 그랬더니 도연이가 엄마한테 얘기해요. 엄마, 내가 아빠 속옷이랑 내 속옷이랑 같이 빨지 말라고 했잖아. 라고 했잖아. quotation grammar 또 보이죠, 여러분? 일단 여기서 내가 아빠 속옷 하면요, 속옷 means inside, 옷 means clothes. So what do you think inside clothes would mean? Inside clothes. It's underwear. underwear이에요. 그래서 아빠 속옷, dad's underwear and my underwear 같이 빨다. So 빨다 has lots of meanings, but when you say 옷을 빨다, it means to wash clothes. So 빨지 말다, not, right? Don't, not. 라고 했잖아. This 라고 하다 grammar. It's imperative sentence to tell someone to do something, or in this context, to tell someone not to do something. So I told you not to wash my undergarment and dad's undergarment together, didn't I? 했잖아, 그랬잖아. 그랬더니 엄마가 얘 좀 봐. Look at this girl. 얘 하면은 이제 this person이란 뜻이죠. It's a Korean version of pronoun. And it can only be used for someone that's younger than you or who are close to you, like who are the same age as you. 그리고 얘 좀 봐. 그게 뭐 어때서? 그게 뭐 어때서? This is also in the vocabulary list that I linked in the file in the description box. But 그게 뭐 어때서? 어때서 여러분? It means what's it like, right? So it's asking how is that? As in what's wrong with that? 그게 뭐 어때서? What's wrong with that? And it's a rhetorical question that actually means there's nothing wrong with it. 그게 뭐 어때서? 아빠 속옷이랑 내 속옷이랑 같이 빠는 거. 그게 뭐 어때서? There's nothing wrong with that. 그랬더니 도연이가 그냥 싫어. 찝찝해 라고 했어요. 찝찝해. 여러분, I'm pretty sure I printed it out. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I printed out the vocab list as well. Yeah, and you will see here, 찝찝하다. It means to feel that something's off or, oh my gosh. I guess having a class like this where I actually show you guys the paper and pen, this way you can actually see my cat when she comes interrupt me. So 잠깐만 효순아 좀 비켜보세요. 비켜주세요. 오케이. 여기서 자, 여기 뜨뜻하니까. 자, 일단 계속 해봅시다. 아이고 고양이, 여러분은 고양이 보셨죠? 고양이의 발, her paw, it was so cute. 아이고 고양이. 아무튼 back to our class. 일단 찝찝하다 하면요, you feel that something feels like uncomfortable, usually because something's unclean or unfinished, or there's like a lingering residue. So for example, let's say you had garlic, and when you eat garlic, your breath smells usually bad. And so if you don't brush your teeth right after having garlic, you would feel 찝찝하다 because there's some lingering smell inside your mouth. So that's what 찝찝하다 is, 찝찝하다. And so here, 도연 feels 찝찝해 because she thinks cleaning their underwears together isn't clean. So 찝찝해. 그랬더니 아빠가 화내요. 왜 싫어? 아빠랑 뭐 속옷 같이 빠는 게 싫어? You don't like that we wash our undergarments together? 한 가족끼리 세탁을 나눠서 하는 게 말이 돼? 이렇게 나왔어요. 일단 여기서 끼리 볼게요. 끼리. 한 가족끼리. 끼리 하면 이제 요게 it's usually used with people noun, plural person noun. So it means among or within a group of. So 한 가족끼리, one family, like among one family, within a group of family, 세탁을 나눠서 하는 게 말이 돼? 세탁을 나누다. 나누다 하면요, 나누다 has two meanings. First one is to divide. Divide into two parts, like split into two parts. And second is to share. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of like 얘기를 나누다. 얘기를 나누다, to share a story. So in that context, 나누다 is used to mean share. So here it means divide. So 나눠서 하다. You think 세탁을 나눠서 하는 게 세탁. 잠깐만요. 이제 옷을 빨다. 옷을 빨다. 그리고 세탁하다. They're synonyms. So 세탁을 나눠서 하다 means to do laundry by dividing up. Do you think dividing up the laundry among one family 는 게 말이 돼? 말이 돼? 혹시 여러분 말이 돼? Have you heard of 말이 돼? 여기서 보시면 그게 말이 돼? 이렇게 써 있잖아요. 말이 돼 literally means that becomes words, right? So it means that makes sense. And it's also another rhetorical question that actually means it doesn't make sense. 그게 말이 되니? Do you think that makes sense? No, it doesn't. 그래서 do you think it makes sense to divide up the laundry within one family? 그랬더니 이제 엄마가 도연이가 당신 회사 틴트 몇 개 더 달래라고 했어요. 도연이가 당신 회사 틴트 몇 개 더 달래. So 도연 says 당신 회사 틴트. 당신. 혹시 여러분 당신 들어보셨나요? 당신? So 당신 has lots of meanings. So the first meaning is you. It's a very, very formal way of saying you. And it's also a way to say you between married couple, 당신. 근데 it's kind of an old-fashioned way to say like honey, darling these days. So I rarely see younger married couples using 당신 to each other. They would rather call them 여보 instead, to call each other honey, darling, but not much 당신. And 당신 you will often see older couples using 당신. 아무튼 your 회사, your company, because his dad works at a cosmetic company. So 당신 회사 틴트 하면요, 여러분 틴트가 그 lip tint 말이에요. Lip tint. Not lipstick, but it's kind of like how do you say, like watery lipstick? Is that how you call tint? And anyways, that one. 몇 개 더 달래라고 했어요. 일단 달래 하면요, 여러분, it means she says to give her a few more tints. 일단은 보겠습니다. 달래. 요거 달래 아주 중요한 grammar 포인트예요, 여러분. 달래. 네, 달래 일단은 볼게요. 달래 is actually a shortened, contracted form of 달라고 했어. And 달라고 했어 means that someone told, someone said, or someone told, right? Someone told or asked someone to give. So what's the difference between 달라고 했어 and 주라고 했어, guys? 주라고 했어. This is an important point of intermediate grammar. 일단은 주라고 했어. 주라고 했어. It's easy to understand why this means somebody told them to give it, right? 주라고 했어. 주다 plus 라고 했어. 그래서 보시면 일단은 the difference I wrote it here. So 일단 먼저 예문부터 볼게요. Let's look at the example sentences first. 엄마가 이거 동생한테 주라고 했어요. 엄마가 이거 동생한테 주라고 했어요. So in this sentence, guys, who is the ultimate receiver? receiver가 누굴까요, 여기서? So mom is telling someone to give this to whom? 동생, right? So the ultimate receiver is 동생, which is a third party, right? A third party. 그래서 this actually represents this sentence actually represents the usage of 주라고 했어 very well. 주라고 했어 is used when the speaker or the person being talked about told someone to give something to a third party. So not themselves, not to herself or himself, themselves, but to another person. Whereas 달라고 했어 is used when the speaker or the person being talked about, so basically the subject in the sentence, ask for something to be given to themselves. themselves예요. themselves. 그러면 여러분, 엄마가 이거 달라고 했어요. Who is the ultimate receiver then? Who is mom asking someone to give that to? To whom? To whom, guys? To whom? Is it 엄마 herself or someone else? Or 다른 사람? Is it 엄마 or 다른 사람? 누굴까요? 그렇죠. 엄마 맞아요. 엄마 herself 맞아요. 그래서 이럴 경우에는 you must use 달라고. 달라고. When the asker and the receiver are the same, you must use 달라고 했어. That person asking and the person ultimate receiver is the same person, you must use 달라고. 달라고 해요. 그래서 여기서도 보면요. 도연이가 당신 회사 틴트 몇 개 더 달라고 했어. Because 달래 is 달라고 했어's contraction. It means 도연 asks you to give her, right? Give her the tint, the lip tint. 그래서 달래를 썼어요. 달래. 그랬더니 아빠가 그래? 근데 그걸 왜 당신이 말해? Oh, is that so? But why do you tell me that? Why don't she herself ask me firsthand? 그리고 아빠가 도연이한테 도연이 너 아빠랑 말하기도 싫어 이제? 아빠랑 말하기도 싫어 이제? 뭐뭐 하기 싫다. 뭐뭐 하기 싫다 means you don't want to verb. So it's like saying you don't even want to talk to me now. 너 나랑 말하기도 싫어 이제? You don't even want to talk to me now. 그런 뜻이에요. And continuing with the second scene, 도연이가 이제 됐어, 필요 없어 라고 했어요. 됐어 is like, you know what, forget it, it's okay, 필요 없어, I don't need it, 이런 뜻이에요. 그리고 아빠가 이제 원도연 is her daughter's full name. If you guys watched this movie, you would have realized that their last name is 원. They're the one family. 원상태, 원도연. 원상태 is the dad's name. 원도연 is the daughter's full name. 그리고 이리 앉아봐. 여러분 혹시 이리와 들어보셨나요? 이리와. Like when you come across like a stray cat on the street, many people will say like 이리와. And 이리와가요. 이리 is the contraction form of 여기로. Like to here. So it's literally saying come to here. Come here. 여기로 와. 그래서 이리 앉아봐 is like saying come sit down. Come sit down. 이리 앉아봐. 그랬더니 엄마가 어지간히 좀 해. 쟤랑 지금 도대체 뭐 하는 거야 맨날. 어지간히 좀 해. 어지간히 좀 해 is also on the list, guys. 어지간히 좀 해가요, 여러분. 근데 it's a very common phrase. And as a slang word, a lot of young people shorten it to 앵간히 해. 앵간히 해. So 어지간히 좀 해, 앵간히 해, 둘 다 같은 뜻이에요. It's like saying, enough already. I've seen you do that multiple times already. Give it a rest. 이런 뜻이에요. Enough already. 앵간히 좀 해. 어지간히 좀 해. Enough already. Give it a rest. 뭐지? Anyways, 쟤랑 지금 도대체 뭐 하는 거야 맨날. 쟤는 이제 도연이를 말하겠죠? She. 쟤랑 지금 도대체 뭐 하는 거야? 도대체는 이제 what on earth라는 뜻으로 it's an adverb that emphasizes that you have no idea what's going on or no idea about the answer. So 지금 도대체 뭐 하는 거야 맨날? What are you always doing with her? 맨날 is a colloquial version of 매일. Always, every day. 맨날 뭐 하는 거야 지금? 그랬더니 아빠가 하긴 뭘 해. 아무것도 안 하지. 일단 여러분, I'm sure that if you're at an intermediate level, you guys might recognize this word. 아무것도 plus negative verb, right? Nothing. So 아무것도 can only be followed by a negative verb to mean nothing. So 하긴 뭘 해. 아무것도 안 하지. We do nothing. 이렇게 되어 있어요. 근데 여러분 잠깐만요. I skipped on the quiz of 달라고 and 주라고 grammar. Would you guys like to give it a try? 지금 한번 퀴즈 빠르게 해볼까요? 주라고 and 달라고. So you guys remember that 주라고 is used when the speaker, the asker, asked for something to be given to another person, right? Another person, third party. And 달라고 is when the speaker asks something to be given to themselves, right? 그러면 한번 해봅시다. I ask them to give me some water. 이럴 때는 물을 주라고 했어요일까요? 물을 달라고 했어요일까요? 물을 주라고 or 물을 달라고? 그렇죠. 달라고예요. 달라고. 왜냐하면 the asker and the receiver are the same. 그렇죠? 그래서 달라고가 맞아요. 달라고. 그 다음에 2번은 어때요? How about number 2? I ask them to give my friend some water. So asker is I, receiver is my friend. 이럴 때는 친구한테 물을 주라고 할까요? 아니면 달라고 할까요? 그렇죠. 여기서는 주라고가 맞아요. Because the asker and the receiver are different. 그래서 여기서는 주라고가 맞고 그러면 how about 엄마한테 I ask mom to give me some tissue. 요건 어때요? 엄마한테 휴지 좀 주라고 했어요? or 달라고 했어요? How about number 3, guys? Number 3. Is it 주라고 or 달라고? 그렇죠. 요건 달라고예요. 달라고. You guys are getting it. Definitely getting it. 그렇죠. 달라고. 그다음에 마지막 가볼게요, 여러분. 여러분, the weird thing happens here. So 엄마한테, there are two 한테 here. And it happens inevitably because you asked mom. So this 한테 connects with ask. 그리고 give my brother. This 한테 connects with give. So inevitably there are double 한테 use. But if you want to avoid doubling 한테, you could also change it to 보고. 엄마 보고, since this is kind of like the main actor, right? You can also replace 한테 with 보고, with the particle 보고. So 엄마 보고 동생한테 휴지 좀 주라고 했어요? Or 달라고 했어요? Oh, you guys already wrote the answer. 그렇죠. 주라고 해요. Because here, the asker and the receiver are different. 그래서 여기서는 주라고가 맞습니다. 아무튼 여러분, back to this expression. 하긴 뭘 해? 하긴 뭘 해? So this is from this pattern, this grammar pattern, or this, I wouldn't call it grammar pattern. Oh my gosh. These are the scars. The scars on my arms are from my cat while I was playing with my cat. But anyways, don't worry guys. 아무튼 하기는 뭘 is used to lightly dismiss or question something, implying that the statement isn't entirely true or accurate. So it's kind of like saying, it's kind of lightly denying what someone said. So I'll give you an example. So 기는 뭘 is often shortened to 긴 뭘. 예를 들어서, let's say someone compliments you on your Korean skill and say, 한국어 잘하네요. 한국어 잘하시네요. And then if you want to kind of sound humble and kind of dismiss it, saying, no, I need to learn more, then you can say, 잘하긴요 뭘. 잘하기는요 뭘. 잘하기는요 뭘. 이렇게. So you're lightly kind of denying the statement. 잘하긴요 뭘. 더 배워야 돼요. 그래서 when you compliment a Korean, you will often hear this. You will often hear them saying this back to you, like, 잘하긴요 뭘, 뭐 크긴요 뭘, 뭐 예쁘긴요 뭘, 이런 식으로. 그리고 또, let's say your friend thinks something's pretty, but you absolutely think it's gross, but you don't want to sound too direct. Then you can say, so let's say your friend says, 이거 이쁘지, isn't this pretty? And you say, 예쁘긴 뭘. And you can also remove 뭘 as well. Just by saying 예쁘긴 conveys like denying, dismissal. So 예쁘긴 너무 촌스러워. It's too tacky. It's not pretty. 그래서 아무튼 하긴 뭘. 그래서 여기서도 하긴 뭘 해? It's like denying that they're doing something. So mom asks, what on earth are you two doing? And dad is saying, what are we doing? We do nothing. She doesn't even talk to me. We don't play. So that's what he means. 하긴 뭘 해? 하긴 뭘 해? Okay, 그 다음에 여러분. So that was the second scene. So if you guys don't have any other questions, we could move on to scene number 3. Scene number 3. So this is where 도연 and her crush 지호 have a conversation. 네, so let's take a look at what they talk about. 일단 도연이가 쪽팔려라고 했는데 일단 쪽팔려 is a slang word. Slang word. It's also on the list of slang expressions. 여기서 보시면 쪽팔려. It's like saying you're embarrassed, ashamed. It's a slang expression for embarrassed, ashamed. And she says this because in the earlier scene, she fell. 넘어졌어요. She fell down, and her crush 지호 happened to see that. So she feels so embarrassed. That's why she says 쪽팔려 in the scene. 쪽팔려. 근데 지호가 갑자기 도연이한테 다가왔어요. Then 지호 approaches 도연 and says, 도연아, 너 도연이 맞지? You're 도연, right? 그랬더니 도연이가 너무 창피해서 she feels so embarrassed that she first says 아니요. But then she then again says 네. 너 노래 잘한다며? 진영이가 그러던데. 일단 여기서 다며, this 다 is also from the quotation grammar. 일단은 봅시다. 다며 is a shortened form of 다면서 or 다면서요. So it's like saying, I heard that. Is that true? It's confirming whether what I heard is true. 그래서, so it follows the same quotation grammar of grammar rule of what we covered earlier. So we won't get into details anymore of that. So 너 노래 잘한다며? I hear that you are a good singer. You're good at singing. Is that true? 진영이가 그러던데. 진영이가 그러던데. 진영이가 그러던데. 여러분 혹시 아까 do you guys remember what 그러다 means? 그러다. What the verb 그러다 usually means? 혹시 기억나시나요? 맨 첫 번째 씬에서 배웠죠? 좋다 그러고 아빠 싫다 그러면. It's to say, right? 그러다 is a verb that usually means to say. So 진영이가 어디 갔어? 진영이가 그러던데? 진영 says that. 그리고 he ends the sentence with 던데. 일단 보시면요. 여러분 더라고 아시죠? 더라고 아시고 그리고 I'm pretty sure you have heard of this modifier, this past tense modifier, 던. So all these 더 from 더라고 or 던, they all mean past. They all indicate past. So whenever you come across 더, like in the middle of an expression, it's usually about what happened in the past. In the past. So 던데 is a combination of 더 and 은데. 더 and 은데. So 더 past, it implies that it indicates that this happened in the past. And 은데 is as you know it, right? 은데 can mean but it also is a sentence ending that is used when you're expecting something to continue. So you either say this when you have more to say or when you're expecting a response from someone else that you're talking to. So for example, 그 영화 재미있던데. 그 영화 재미있던데. That movie, fun. That was what you felt in the past. So that movie was fun. And so by adding 대, you imply that you have more to say, which is 또 볼까? 그 영화 재밌던데. That movie was fun. 또 볼까? Shall we watch it again? 그리고 또 뭐 이렇게도 쓸 수 있겠죠. 밖에 누구 왔던데. 누구 하면 이제 someone이란 뜻이거든요. 여기서는 outside someone came. 왔던데. Like earlier, I just checked that someone is outside, and you're expecting a response from the other person by adding 대. 했던데. 그래서 여기서도 진영이가 그러던데. 진영 said that. 그러던데. 다음 주 월요일에 오디션 있거든. 너 안 올래? 다음 주 월요일. Next Monday, audition 있거든. 여러분, 거든. Does this sentence ending sound familiar? 거든 ending. So 거든 ending은요, 여러분, it can seem like it has various usages, but it all comes down to this core essence, which is sharing. It's used at the back of the sentence where you share something the other person doesn't know about, doesn't know already. So it's kind of like saying, hey, you see, there's an audition next Monday. 다음 주 월요일에 오디션 있거든. 너 안 올래? Don't you want to come? Do you want to come? 너 안 올래? 그랬더니 도연이가 생각해 볼게요. 생각해 볼게요 is also one of the very commonly used phrases that means I'll think about it. 생각해 볼게요. I'll think about it. So I'll think about it. 그래, 다음 주에 보자. 지호가 okay, I'll see you next week. And then 도연이가 이제 혼잣말 하면은 이제 alone speech, right? So basically she's talking to herself. So she talks to herself. 선배, 그거 알아요? 선배 하면요. 여러분, if you've been watching a lot of like K-dramas, I am sure that you are used to this term, 선배 or 후배. So 선배 means like upperclassmen. It's a term that is used usually in schools or workplaces to refer to someone who 그쵸, senior 맞죠? Senior. Who worked in the company earlier than you. who started working earlier than you or who started school earlier than you. So that's what 선배 is. 선 literally means like front or first. So somebody who came first to me. So 선배, 그거 알아요? So 지호 is 선배. 지호 is 도연's 선배, as in he is an upperclassman. So 선배, 그거 알아요? 그거 알아요? 이것도 it's a commonly used phrase that means 어디 갔어? So it's like saying, you know what? 그거 알아요? It's commonly used right before sharing fun fact. 그거 알아? 너 그거 알아요? 남들이 들으면 비웃을지 모르겠지만 남들이 들으면 남 하면은 이제 다른 사람이에요. 다른 사람. So other people. So other people 들으면 if other people hear it 비웃을지 모르겠지만 비웃다 means to make fun of, to laugh at. They'll probably make fun of me. They'll probably laugh at me. 비웃을지 모르겠지만 우린 운명인가 봐요. We're probably meant to be. So 운명 means destiny. So when we say we're probably destiny, it means we're probably meant to be. 일단은 여기서 을지 모르겠지만이 나왔죠. 을지 모르겠다. 할지도 모르다. 할지도 모르다. It's an expression of guessing. So it's like saying that might be the case. It may be the case. It's possible that. And there's another synonymous expression. Verb 을 수도 탕후루. 그 선배맘에 맞아요. It's part of the 선배 is in the lyrics. It's part of the lyrics of the 탕후루 song. I was wondering what you were talking about with 탕후루 for a second. But yeah, 맞아요. That's a fun reference. But anyways, so there a synonymous expression is 을 수도 있다. 을 수도 있다. Which also means may, it's possible that. And the difference is that 을 수도 있다 has a more broader usage in that it can be used for anything, whether you have control over it or not. And 을지도 모르다 is for something you have no control over. So for example, if you want to say, like, it might rain tomorrow. Raining is out of your control, right? It's not something that you can act upon, right? 그래서 그럴 때는 you can use both. 내일 비가 올지도 몰라요. 비가 올지도 몰라요. Or 비가 올 수도 있어요. For something that you don't have control over, you can use both. But for something that you do have control over, for example, like you not going to a party tomorrow. I might not go to a party tomorrow. If it's something that you don't do out of your choice, then you can use 을 수도 있다. 내일 파티에 안 갈 수도 있어요. I might not go to party tomorrow. So that's the difference. 비웃다. 비웃다는 구어체, 문어체 둘 다 쓰일 수 있어요. It's not limited to one. 구어체, 두어체, 문어체 둘 다 쓸 수 있어요. So if other people hear it, they might make fun of me, but I think we're meant to be. 우린 운명인가 봐요. 여러분, I thought that you guys probably know of 은가 봐요, 나 봐요 expression. It also means, it's also like a expression of guessing, making assumption. So it's kind of like saying, I think we're meant to be. It's kind of like saying, I think that may be the case. So I did not include it on our grammar sheet. 일단 그렇게 넘어갈게요. 우린 운명인가 봐요. 그랬더니 아빠가 들었어요. 아빠 heard that. Maybe he eavesdropped it or maybe he just, chanced upon it. I don't know. But 아빠가 들었어요. 그리고는 뭐가 운명이야? What's destiny? 저놈 누구야? 왜 맨날 인상만 쓰고 말을 안 해? 누구냐고 이렇게 물어봤어요. 아빠 butting in. 일단은 놈 하면요, 여러분. 놈 is not exactly a swear word, but it's kind of like how do you say? Can I say degrading term or derogatory term for 사람? So you could say 뭐 저 사람 누구야? 저 아이 누구야? But 아빠 chooses to use 저놈, maybe because he's threatened that his daughter, is having a potential boyfriend or something. So that's why he says 놈, 놈. guy, dude. 그렇죠, 맞아요. But it can also be used for woman. 네, woman. It's not gender. How do you say? Gender specific? 근데 아무튼 저놈 누구야? 왜 맨날 인상만 쓰고 말을 안 해? This is something that the dad says to 도연, his daughter. 왜 맨날 인상만 쓰고 말을 안 해? 인상 쓰다 하면요, 이제 frown이란 뜻이 있어요. 인상이 여러분 그 face란 뜻이 있어요. face or impression that your face gives. 그래서 I'm pretty sure you've heard of like 첫인상. First impression, like first impression of someone. 내 첫인상 어땠어? How was my first impression, right? So 인상 means that. And when you say 인상을 쓰다, it means like you use your face in a not good way. So it means to frown. 왜 맨날 인상만 쓰고 why do you frown and not talk? 누구냐고. 야고 was also part of the quotation grammar for asking a question. 누구냐고. 근데 여러분 이렇게 when 타고, 라고, 으라고, 자고, and 야고 is used alone without other verbs that follows. 야고, 타고, just this alone. It's usually used to repeat what you said. Repeat. So for example, let's say your friend asks you to go hiking with you. 같이 등산 가자. 근데 you said, 나 피곤해. I'm tired. 나 피곤해. 그랬더니 your friend keeps bugging you. 가자. Let's go. And you say, 피곤하다고 했잖아. Or 피곤하다고. You can just say 타고. To repeat what you just said. It's kind of like saying, I said that already. I said already. So that's one usage of using just the marker, the quotation marker alone. And another usage it has is when you make a point, when you're trying to make a point and emphasize it. So we will get to this usage in one of the next scenes. So we'll get back to that soon. But 누구냐고. So I asked you, who is he? 누구냐고. 그랬더니 뭐라는 거야 진짜. 뭐라고 하는 거야. 여기 또 뭐라는 거야는요. 요 라 is also from the quotation grammar. So this is like saying 뭐라고 하는 거야. Except that 고하다 is omitted. 그렇죠? 고하다. 뭐라는 거야? What is he saying? 진짜 seriously. 그랬더니 이제 아빠랑 말하기도 싫다는 거야? 여기서도 this 다 is also part of quotation grammar. So the proper form would be 싫다고 하는 거야. But colloquially speaking, when you're speaking like casually, you can omit 고하다 part as well. So 싫다는 거야? 너 하라는 공부는 안 하고 연애질이야 지금. 너 하라는 공부 that I tell you to do. So this 라 you can see that it's also from the quotation grammar, imperative sentence quotation grammar, right? So 공부 that I tell you to do, you don't do it, you don't study. I tell you to study, then you don't study. 연애질이야 지금? 이렇게 말했어요. 연애질이야? 그래서 연애질이야? 연애질. 여기서 여러분 연애질이요. 연애하면요 여러분 it's not a bad word guys. 연애는요 it means relationship between a man and a woman, like romantic relationship을 말해요. Not necessarily, not married. 연애 and 결혼 are different. 연애 is what you do before 결혼. So yeah, 연애 is like relationship, being in a relationship and dating. And you can also use it as a verb by adding 하다. 연애하다. 근데 아빠가 연애질이라고 했어요. 연애질. So when you add 질 to an action, it does it does convey negative connotation. It does convey that this person thinks of this as a negative thing. So 연애질이야 by saying 연애질이야 지금 he's implying that 연애 is something that 도연 is not supposed to be doing, right? She's supposed to be studying. So 그렇습니다. 왜 연애질이야 지금 연애질이야. 그랬더니 이제 엄마한테 문자가 왔어요. There's a text message from 엄마 and she says 아버지. So 엄마's dad. So he is 도현's grandfather. 쓰러지셨대. 쓰러지다 하면 이제 faint, collapse. So grandfather fainted, fell down. 지셨대. 대는요. 요것도 이제 다고해. 다고해의 줄임말이에요. So I hear that or someone said that grandfather fainted or collapsed. So 나 먼저 출발하니까 I will be departing soon, like departing as in going to his dad's homes first. So 도연이 데리고 빨리 내려와. So bring 도연 and 빨리 내려와. 내려와라고 했는데 여러분, 요 내려와에 대한 왜 내려와라고 했을까요? Why did she say come down? Why do you think she said come down? 그렇죠. 맞아요. 도둑질 이렇게도 쓰죠. 도둑 it means thief, and so 도둑질 means act of stealing, which is definitely something negative. So 질 is used there too. But anyways, where was I? 내려와. 여러분 I need more parts. So 한국에는요. Let's say this is the map of Korea. I don't necessarily have to draw a map, but 일단은 여기 this is South Korea, and let's say this is 서울이죠. 여기가 서울. 서울하고 수도권이 있잖아요. 그쵸? This is Seoul, and it's a capital area, and all the other cities are called 지방. 지방 is for non-capital area. So I don't live in Seoul, so I can say I live in 지방. And when you say you go to Seoul from 지방, we always say we 서울로 올라가다. I think it's because Seoul is the center of Korea, not necessarily because of the geographical reason, but just because Seoul is the center, we say we go up to Seoul from 지방. And when you go to non-capital cities, not capital area, we always say 내려가다, to go down. 그렇기 때문에 이제 this implies that her grandfather lives in a non-capital area because these family live in Seoul. 그래서 빨리 내려와라고 한 거예요. I hope this makes sense. 오케이, 그 다음에 여러분 이제 다음 씬으로 그렇죠, 맞아요, 장미님. 고향으로 내려가는 거예요. So if your 고향 is let's say if you're in Seoul and you go to your hometown, which is in the non-capital area, then you can say 고향으로 내려가요. 그렇죠, 고향에 내려간다고 해요. Okay, do you guys have any questions so far? 혹시 다른 질문 없으면 is it okay to move on to the next scene? 다음 장면으로 넘어가도 될까요, 여러분? 일단은 다음 장면은 여기 할아버지 집인데요. 할아버지 집. 엄마가 다행이지 뭐 일단은 여보 하니 나 아무래도 걱정돼서 자고 내일 가려고. 일단 아무래도도 되게 많이 쓰이는 표현이에요, 여러분. 아무래도. 잠깐만요. Did I include it in the grammar sheet? 아무래도 있다. 아무래도도요, 여러분. It's a very commonly used 뭐라고 해야지? Adverb, I would say. And you use it before making a judgment or decision based on circumstances. So in English, it could be likened to saying like by the looks of it or simply I think or probably. And its literally meaning is 아무리 생각해도, no matter how much I think about it. So here's a more detailed usage. So 아무래도 is used when after considering various factors, you think a certain conclusion is likely to be true or certain decision is the best. So here, 도연's mother says 아무래도 in the context of 나 아무래도 걱정돼서 자고 내일 가려고. So this is the decision that she makes. 자고 내일 가려고. 내일 가려고. I'm sure that you guys know of 려고 하다, right? 려고 하다. I plan to. 려고 하다 is used when you're casually sharing your plan. And when it's used colloquially, you can also omit 해요 and just use 려고 to mean I plan to do this. So I'm so worried that I will sleep here and leave tomorrow. So I will spend a night here with my dad because I'm too worried, no matter how much I think about it or by the looks of it, or I think this is the wise decision. So 아무래도 is used in that context. So 아무래도 걱정돼서 자고 내일 가려고. 쟤 데리고 bring her and 당신 먼저 집에 가 있어. Go home with 도연 first. 도연아 괜찮지? 그랬더니 도연이가 원도연 너 저녁 내내 표정이 왜 그래? 너 저녁 내내 뭐뭐 내내 하면 all evening, all throughout the evening. 저녁 내내 all throughout the evening. 표정이 왜 그래? 표정 하면요 여러분 surface emotion, literally. surface emotion이거든요. 표정. So it means facial expression. The face that you make that shows your emotion. So facial expressions. 표정이 왜 그래? Like what's with your face all evening? 그랬더니 도연이가 아니야 아무것도. Actually the correct order, like the perfectly grammatical order should be 아무것도 아니야. But it's okay to switch up some word order, especially when it's not written. So 아니야 아무것도. 그 다음에 엄마. If it's not too much work, could you please read each sentence you come across? You mean to translate them in English. Brad님, there's actually a translated file in the link in the description. So you can follow along with that. That's why I thought it would be helpful to attach the translated version. So you can follow along with that file, okay? So 아니야 아무것도. Nothing. 아니야 아무것도. Nothing. 그랬더니 엄마가 너 연애해? Like, are you dating someone? 너 연애해? 아빠가 연애? Dating? 아까 그 날라리 놈이랑? 날라리도 I think it could be considered a slang word. So 날라리는요, it's not a good, like, it's a word that does not have a good meaning. So 날라리가요, it's kind of like saying like troublemaker, rebel, punk. So it refers to either a girl or a boy in school usually that don't behave well and just like to, I guess, hang out and not study. Those kinds of students, a lot of teachers or adults call them 날라리. 날라리. So 아까 그 날라리 놈이랑 so you're dating that punk earlier? 그 전화기 내놔봐. 그 전화기 내놔봐. Give me that phone. 나는 전화기. 사실 이제 핸드폰. Normally people would say 핸드폰 for phone, but 전화기 is an old-fashioned, word that refers to phone. So 아무튼 아빠가 너 그 전화기 내놔봐. 이렇게 말하는데 여기서 내놓다 하면요. When 내놓다 is used to mean like give it to me, it carries a demanding tone. Like 내놔, 너 그거 내놔. Like give it to me in a demanding tone. 그런 뜻이에요. So give me that phone. 너 그 전화기 내놔봐. 그랬더니 도연이가 화가 났어요. 진짜. seriously. 이렇게 됩니다. 그리고 여러분, 보겠습니다. 이거는 사실 너무 길거든요. This is the part where dad, 아빠, and 도연 argue. Yeah, they kind of have a fight. 잠깐만요. 이거 한번 해볼까요? I guess we could cover this. 한번 해볼게요. 아빠가 도연아, 너 도대체 뭐가 문제야? 너 도대체, we learned 도대체, right? What on earth is your problem? 너 도대체 뭐가 문제야? 얘기 좀 들어보자. Let me hear you out. 얘기 좀 들어보자. 도연아, 아빠는 네가 원하는 거 다 해주잖아. 그치? 네가 원하는 거. 원하다 is a verb that means to want. So what you want, I do it for you. I do everything that you want for you. 그냥 공부만 하라는데 그게 그렇게 어려워? 그냥 공부만 하라는데. I'm sure that you guys recognize the quotation marker 라 here, right? 그냥 공부만 하라고 하는데 그냥 공부만 하라고 하는데 I ask you to just study 하는데 그게 그렇게 어려워? Is that so hard? 대학만부터 여러분 붙다 하면은 이제 to attach something이잖아요. 그래서 이제 it's often used in the context of 붙다 is often used in the context of exam. So if you say like 시험에 붙다, it means you passed. You passed the test. And when you say like 학교에 붙다, it means you got admitted to a certain school. So 대학만 붙어, get admitted. Get the university admission. 대학만 붙어. 연애 그거, dating 그거 얼마든지 할 수 있어. 든지. 혹시 든지. I feel like I've explained this grammar multiple times in my previous live stream, so I didn't include this in our grammar worksheet. But what 든지, the essence of 든지 is that something doesn't matter. So by saying 얼마든지, it's like saying how much doesn't matter. It's like saying however much you want. So you can date however much you want, whoever you want when you get to college. 아빠는 네 나이 때. I feel like this is a universal language of a lot of like dads. So 네 나이 때 하면 무슨 뜻일 것 같아요? When I was your age, actually, there's like a related slang word that I would like to teach you guys, which I'm pretty sure some of you already know. 꼰대. 혹시 여러분 꼰대 아세요? 꼰대? What type of people do we refer? We usually refer to the type of people, I guess, who likes to like 꼰대 is usually for like older people who old man, boomer. 꼰대 could be man or woman, both of them. 뭐야? Sorry guys, sorry. 잠깐만요. What was that? 미안해요. I forgot the 잠깐만요, 여러분. I'm so sorry. My camera is disconnected, guys. 미안해요, 여러분. What do I do with it? 잠깐만요. Let me reconnect it, guys. 잠깐만. 어떻게 해야 되지? 요거를 잠깐만요. 미안해요, 여러분. I'm not sure what exactly happened. There you go. 그렇죠. Who likes to scold? 그렇죠. Who likes to give unsolicited advice? Usually older people. 그런 사람들을 가리킵니다. Older people who like to compare their time to present time. Okay. 그렇죠. 맞아요. 뭐야? I clicked on it. I accidentally clicked on the X button. That's why it's gone. Okay. Sorry, guys. 미안해요. 여러분. 아무튼 사전 씹어 먹으면서 공부했어. 아빠, when I was your age, 사전 씹어 먹으면서 공부했어. I studied while basically chewing up the dictionary. So it's an kind of like a, how do you say? 그 뭐라고 하지? 그 과장된 말 뭐라고 하죠? There's an English term for like exaggerated figure of speech. How do you? There was an English word for that. I forgot what that is. 잠깐만요. 아무튼 좀 과장을 하는 거죠. 씹으면서 공부했어. 그때 연애질 하던 놈들 지금 뭐 하는 줄 알아? People who used to date back then in high school. 맞아요. hyperbole. 맞아요. hyperbole. 네 나이 때 사전 씹어 먹으면서 공부했어. He doesn't mean he actually chewed up the dictionary, but more like, it's an hyperbole. Exaggerating. But 너 지금 뭐 하는 줄 알아? Do you know what they're doing right now? Those kids that used to date in high school back then, huh? 그랬더니 또 시작이야, 또 시작 하면서 이제 헤드폰을 껴요. 헤드폰을 낀다. She puts on headphone. And then 아빠 says, 아빠가 말하는데 dad is talking. 너 헤드폰 안 빼? Hey you. 빼다 하면요. 이제 take off the accessory that you put on your head. So 너 헤드폰 안 빼? 하면서 헤드폰을 막 빼요. 그랬더니 헤드폰이 망가져요. Then the headphone breaks. And so 도연, the 아빠 feels somewhat apologetic, but then he's still angry. And so he continues to say, 도연아, 너 아빠가 밖에서 어떻게 사는 줄 알아? 뭐뭐 하는 줄 알아? 여러분 이것도 뭐뭐 하는 줄 알아 is the grammar point that I did not include in our grammar sheet because I thought you guys would already know this, but it has two meanings. It's like when it's used as a question, it's asking, do you know? Or it's like saying, 잠깐만요. 할 줄 알았었네. 여러분, actually, I feel like I'm confusing myself even more, so let's just skip this. I'll just assume that you guys already know about 줄 알았어, and if you don't, then you can check my one of my lessons on 줄 알았다 on my channel. All right, so 너 헤드폰 안 빼? 아빠가 어떻게 사는 줄 알아? Do you know how I live on the outside? So basically, like outside as in his social life. Do you know what my social life is? 네가 아빠 인생을 딱 하루만 살아보면 if you live your dad's life just a day, then 그랬더니 도연이가 나도 그랬으면 소원이 없겠다고. If that were to happen, 소원이 없대요. 나는 소원이 wish란 뜻이거든요. I wouldn't have any wish if that were to happen. And then she used the quotation grammar. So this is what I talked about earlier about 타고's usage. Where is it? 타고 어딨어? 타고. 아무튼 타고, you can also use like 타고, 라고, 자고 alone, like the marker alone without any verbs following, just to make your point, just to emphasize your point. And that's what's happening here. 나도 그랬으면 소원이 없겠다고. That's my point as well. If that were to happen, I wouldn't have any wishes. That would be my wish. 아빠도 내 인생 한번 살아보면, you dad as well, my life, you live. You try living it. 그렇게 쉽게 말 못할걸. That easily talk, you couldn't. You could not talk easily like that. You could not talk that easily about my life. 여기서 뭐뭐 할걸 나왔어요. 할걸. 뭐뭐 할걸 하면요. It's kind of like saying I bet or I suppose, and the speaker, it's used when the speaker speculates or assumes that something based on intuition. Speculates or assumes something that is based on their intuition or indirect knowledge. So there has to be some distinction made between 을걸 and 나봐 and 은가봐. So 나봐 and 은가봐 are used when you're making guesses or assumptions based on your like first-hand experience, based on what you see in real life. Whereas 을걸 is more like it's based on your intuition. It's not necessarily, you don't make this speculation based on what you see or what seem outside, but more because you intuitively think that. 뭐뭐 할걸? 뭐뭐 할걸? So 어디 갔어? 그렇게 쉽게 말 못할걸? I bet you can talk that easily about my life. 그냥 공부만 하라고? You tell me to just study? 진짜 어이가 없네. 어이없어 엄청 많이 쓰여요. 어이없다. 어이없다도 I feel like it's also kind of a slangish expression, but then it's in the dictionary. It's a word that's in the dictionary, so I didn't include it on the slang list. 어디 갔어? 여기 있다. 어이없다가요. It's on the list here. 어이없다. It's like dumbfounded, to be at loss for words because you find something, because you're taken, because you find something kind of unbelievable, you know. I will add this too, unbelievable. 어이없어. So it's usually used in negative context. Let's say like a stranger like bumps into your shoulder but does not apologize, then you can say 어이없어. 저 사람 뭐야? 이렇게 쓸 수 있어요. 그리고 재수없다. 재수없다는요. 이것도 약간 I wouldn't say it's a swear word, but 그러니까 재수없다는요. 일단 I will first explain the literal meaning. 일단 재수가요. 운이란 뜻이에요. 재수 means fortune, like luck. So 재수없다's first meaning is that I'm out of luck today. 재수없다. That's the first meaning. And the second one is you can use it when you're talking when you're like bad mouthing someone, like when you talk behind somebody's back who you don't like it's kind of it could be you find that person arrogant, it could be that you find that person rude, it could be anything negative. So 재수없어. Whenever you come across someone that I guess you don't like, then maybe you could say 재수없다. But it's not a good word in and of itself, although it's not a swear word. 아무튼 재수없다. 재수없다. Okay, so 그렇게 말 못할 걸 그냥 공부만 하라고? 진짜 어이가 없네. 아빠가 한번 해봐봐. You try it. 그게 가능한지 and see if it's possible. 그게 가능한지. 그랬더니 아빠 말 아직 안 끝났어. I'm not done with my I'm not done talking. 아빠 말 아직 안 끝났어. 도연이가 지겨워 죽겠어 진짜. 어린애 취급 좀 그만해 라고 했어요. 지겨워 죽겠어. 지겨워 죽겠어. 일단 지겹다 하면요. 지겹다 is an adjective that you can use when you're sick of something. You're so tired of something because it's been happening on and on repeat. So you're tired of his dad being like this, like nagging all the time, sounding like a broken record, right? 일단은 여기서 지겨워 죽겠어라고 했는데 한국어 슬랭 월드에서 이제 죽다가 들어간 표현이 좀 많아요. 어디 갔어? 뭐뭐해 죽겠어. 뭐뭐해 죽겠어. It's kind of like so 죽다 means to die, but nobody means it in a literal sense. It's kind of emphasizing that it's so adjective. So like 지겨워 죽겠어. Like I'm so freaking tired of it. 지겨워 죽겠어. 어린애 취급 좀 그만해. 어린애 취급 좀 그만해. So 그만해, it's like stop it, right? 그리고 취급을 그만해 라고 되어 있는데요, 여러분. 취급하다가요, 여러분. It means to treat someone or regard someone. 그래서 it's usually used like this. noun 취급하다. someone을 actually, you know what? I need more space. someone을 noun 취급하다. noun 취급하다. 이렇게 쓰여요. And it means to regard, to treat someone as noun. 그래서 여기서도 보면 어린애 취급하다 would mean to treat her as a little kid. 어린애 취급. So he's asking his dad to stop treating me like a little kid. 어린애 취급 좀 그만해. 취급 is a word that often appears in the next scenes that we'll cover. So stay tuned for 취급, guys. 취급. 그랬더니 아빠가 너 어디서 아빠한테 성질이야. 너 어디서 아빠한테 성질이야. 이제 너 어디서 이러면 it's like saying how dare you. How dare you. 너 어디서 아빠한테 성질이야. 이제 성질은 temper란 뜻이에요. temper. So like it's kind of like saying how dare you show temper to your dad or how dare you get angry with your dad. 이런 뜻이에요. 그랬더니 할아버지 intervenes. The grandfather intervenes. 다 싸웠어? Are you done fighting? 그거 알아? You know what? 그거 알아 배웠죠? It's an expression that you can use right before sharing fun fact. 그거 알아? 이 은행나무가 it's a name of a tree, ginkgo tree. 1000년이 넘은 나무다 그 말이지. 이제 다 그 말이지는요. It's not a very common, ending. It's just grandfather's habitual way of speaking. You'll realize this as you kind of watch the movie because he keeps talking like this. 뭐뭐 하다 그 말이지. 뭐뭐 하다 그 말이지. Not very important. 아무튼 은행나무가 1000년이 넘은 나무다. It's over 1,000 years. 그리고 전설에 따르면 according to 전설하면 이제 legend, myth란 뜻이거든요. According to a legend, 이 나무 밑에서 under this tree 소원을 빌면 if you make a wish under this tree 그게 다 이루어진다. 다 이루어진다. 소원을 빌다 make a wish 소원이 이루어지다 for that wish to come true. I've also included that word on the word list. Let's see where it is. 여기 있다. 소원을 빌다 to make a wish 그다음에 소원이 이루어지다 for wish to come true 이렇게 됩니다. 근데 이제 도연이하고 아빠가 갑자기 사라졌어요. They disappear and so 할아버지 says 나 지금 누구랑 얘기하냐? Who am I talking to right now? There's no one in front of me. Anyways, let's skip these whole scenes. So this is where 아빠 and 도연's bodies get switched up. So 아빠 is in 도연's body. 아빠's soul is in 도연's body and 도연's soul is in 아빠's body. So they switched up because of the ginkgo tree magic. 아무튼 let's move on to the last scene. 여러분 last scene 한번 볼게요. Last scene is interesting and quite useful because there are many slang words. Because this is a scene where 도연 practically teaches her dad how to speak like a teenager, how to speak using Korean modern slang words. 일단 한번 볼게요. So 도연 has to go to dad's work in his body, and 아빠 has to go to her daughter's school in her body. So they're kind of exchanging information to keep each other updated. So let's see what happens. 도연이가 아빠 일단 애들이랑 말할 때는 단어는 짧게 끊어서 뭔가 강조하고 싶으면 개나 핵을 붙여. 개 멋있어, 핵노잼, 개 귀염, 오케이? 이런 식으로. 일단 애들이랑 말할 때는 when you're talking with like the kids or her friends, 단어는 짧게 끊어. 끊어 means to cut. So cut your words short. 뭔가 강조하고 싶으면 if you want to emphasize something, 강조하고 싶으면 if you want to emphasize something, then put 개 or 핵 in the front. 앞에 개나 핵을 붙여. 예를 들어서 개 멋있어. 핵노잼. 개귀염. Okay? It's so cool. So 일단은 개 means dog. 개's literal meaning is dog. And 핵's literal meaning is nuclear. So it's a common slang word that is used in place of like 아주, 되게, 정말, which you can also find in the slang word list. 어디 갔어? 어디 갔지? 개, 핵, super, really, very, 아주, 되게, 정말인데. But I rarely see anyone using 핵 these days. We do mostly use 개, but 핵 is pretty rare these days. I guess it was more popular around until about 5 years ago, but I guess nobody really uses that. But 개, we really use it often. Like 개 멋있어, 개 귀여워, it's so cute. 이런 식으로. 그랬더니 in response to that, 아빠 says, 바른 말, 고운 말을 써야지. Proper words, pretty words. So it's like proper language. You have to be using proper language. 요즘 애들 말 줄이고 이러는 거 언어 파괴예요. 그거 심각한 문제야. 줄이다 means to shorten, to contract. So 요즘 애들 kids these days shortening words and things like that. 말 줄이고 이러는 거 그거 언어 파괴. It's language destruction. That's a very serious problem. 그거 심각한 문제야. 심각한 문제야. 그랬더니 도연이가 나 돌겠네. 여러분 돌겠네 하면 it's like I'm about to spin, as in I'm going crazy. Like you're driving me nuts. 이런 뜻이에요. 나 돌겠네. You're driving me nuts. 아빠, 그러다 왕따 당해. 왕따 당해. 이렇게 써 있어요. 재밌는 표현이 나왔는데 여기 한번 볼게요. 아빠 그러다 왕따 당해. So what is this 다? This 다 is not quotation this time. 일단은 다 is actually a shortened form of 다 가는. And colloquially, it's often shortened to 다가 or just 다. So it means if you keep doing verb, so the key point is this, keep, continuously doing verb. If you keep on doing verb, then usually followed by a negative consequence. So for example, if you say 그렇게 하다가는, if you do it like that, if you keep doing like that, 금방 지칠 거예요. You will get tired soon. So 다 가는 is used like that. But like I said, it's often shortened to 다가. Not often, but it can be shortened to 다가 and 다. So actually what she meant to say is 아빠 그러다가는 왕따 당해. If you keep acting like that, if you keep saying things like that, 왕따 당해. 이렇게 써 있는데요. 혹시 여러분, have you guys studied the passive verb, passive forms of Korean grammar? 당하다는 is often attached to nouns to convey that the subject suffers or experiences on something, blah, 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 blah. 그래서 the point here is that it implies that someone or something is the target of that action. So this person is being done something negative. Being done something negative. It can only be used in the context of something negative. So for example, 왕따 당하다. 왕따 하면요, 여러분, 왕따. It means a big loner. So it's like saying an outcast. So when you say 왕따 당하다, basically you are a target of outcasting. So basically you're ostracized or you're bullied. 왕따 당하다. So if you keep doing like that, if you keep acting like that, you will get ostracized by my friends. You will, like, my friends won't play with you. My friends will bully you. 이런 뜻이고. 그리고 it can also be used with 사기. 사기 is scam. So 사기 당했어요 means I'm scammed. 폭행, assault. Assaulted, right? 폭행 당하다. 모욕, insult. Insulted. 이런 뜻이 됩니다. 그래서 아빠 그러다 왕따 당해. 그리고 애들이 말할 때 and when kids talk 못 알아듣겠으면 when you cannot understand then just 표정만 보고 여러분 표정 기억나요? 표정? Facial expression, right? Just watch their facial expression and do reaction. 웃으면 같이 웃고 if they laugh together. 짜증내면 같이 짜증내고 if they 짜증 means annoyance. 내다, it's like showing. So when they show that they're annoyed, when they seem annoyed, then be annoyed together. Okay? 그리고 아빠, 내 베프 is it comes from the English word best friend. Best friend. So 베프, my best friend 진영이, you know her, right? 걔가 오늘 오디션 보러 가자고 하면 걔가 오늘 오디션 보러 가자고 그러면 여러분 based on what we learned so far, I'm pretty sure you guys can understand this part. So I would love to hear from you guys. Your translated version of this sentence. 걔가 오늘 오디션 보러 가자 그러면 절대 가지 마. So what would this sentence mean, guys? I would really like to read your translation on the chat. Because I feel like throughout the class, this class hasn't been like super interactive because it was just me explaining, right? Except when we did the quizzes. So I would love to see you guys write your own version of the sentence in English. 걔가 오늘 오디션 보러 가자고 그러면 자고 그러면 절대 가지 마. I'm pretty sure you recognize this, so I'm waiting for your response. 라이브 기다릴게요. 라이브 챗. 그렇죠. If he says, let's go to audition. 그렇죠. If she invites you to audition. 그렇죠. 오디션 보러 가자고 그러면 절대 가지 마. 알았지? So 진영이, 걔 refers to 진영이 here, right? 그리고 여기서 여러분 Do you guys remember how to say to take an exam? To take an exam. To take an exam. 시험 보다, right? 시험 보다. 그리고 for to have an interview as well, we use the verb 보다. 면접을 보다. And for audition as well, we also use the verb 보다. And as you can see, 보다 is always used in the context of like someone being examined, whether through interviews, test, or even audition. Audition is where a contestant is being like reviewed, right? Examined. So in that case, we use 보다. So 오디션 보러 가자. 오디션 보러 가자 means let's go have an audition. 가자고 그러면 절대 가지 마. Don't go. Don't. Never. All right? 그리고 뚠뚠뚠 I guess that's all the grammar points I have brought. 당하다 and 다가는. 근데 shall we finish the rest of the scene? 한번 가볼까요? Rest of the scene 빠르게 해볼까요? 한번? 그랬더니 아빠가 in response to that, 아빠 says, 너도 회사 가서 you as well. 회사 가서 절대 네 성격대로 행동하면 안 돼. 회사 가서 you go to company and never 네 성격대로. 여기서 when you say noun 대로, it's like according to noun. So in alignment with noun. So in alignment with your personality, you cannot behave. So you cannot behave as your usual self, as your usual personality. Never do that. 생각하고 말해야 돼. Think and talk. Oh no, actually, 말하지 마. Don't talk at all. That's what the dad is saying. And 도연이가 아닥하고 있으라고. So you're basically saying 아닥하다. 아닥하라고. 아닥도 여러분 아닥이 사실 약간 swear word 같은 건데 일단은 아닥이요 여러분. 여기 써놨는데 아닥 means to like shut up or like mouth zip. And I guess it's weird when I break this word down. So 아닥 is actually an acronym. But when I actually just use the full word, it sounds like a really bad swear word, but I'm just gonna let you know. So it's a contraction of 아가리를 닥치다. 일단은 닥치다는요, it's a verb that means to shut up. So if you want to kind of say, to kind of tell someone to shut up in an offensive way, you can say, 야, 닥쳐 이럴 수 있어요. 근데 이제 아가리는요, 아가리 is a very, very bad word that means mouth. 네, 그래서 I feel like saying 아가리 닥치다 sounds really bad, but then 아닥 doesn't sound as bad. So I guess 아닥 is kind of an okay slang word you can use among your friends, close friends only, to mean like shut up or mouth zip. 그래서 아닥하고 있으라고. So you're basically telling me to 아닥, shut up. 아빠가 아닥 그런 이상한 말 너 특히 하지 말고 that kind of weird words, especially don't say those kinds of words. 그리고 직원들이 물어보면 when employees ask 괜찮겠네 진행해봐. So say that sounds fine. Continue with that. Proceed with that. And if a 상사 asks, 상사는 여러분 이제 superiors at work를 말해요. 상사가 물어보면 네, 최선을 다하겠습니다. 라고만 해. 최선을 다하겠습니다. 요 라고는요, 여러분, 라고는 여기서는 이제 direct quotation marker도 돼요. When you're directly quoting what someone said, not embedded in your sentence, but actually quoting the actual sentence, then you mark it with 라고. So this is part of the direct quotation rule. But anyways, if 상사 asks, then 네, 최선을 다하겠습니다. 라고만 해. Just say 최선을 다하겠습니다. 최선을 다하다 means to do your best. Just say that you will do your best. And 그리고 이거 중요한 건데, this is important. 회사에서 at work in the office never 절대 책임지겠습니다 라는 말 하면 안 돼. 면 안 돼. You should never say 책임지겠습니다. Alright? 책임지다 means to take responsibility for something. Take responsibility of like negative consequences. Usually 책임지겠습니다. 책임지겠습니다라는 말 하면 안 돼. 그냥 최선을 다하겠습니다라고만 해. 알았지? Just say I will do my best. Alright? 그랬더니 도연이가 그리고 아빠가 그리고 그 회사 일 중요한 건 여기다 메모해놨으니까 모르겠으면 전화해. So basically 회사 일 중요한 거 like important things about work 여기다는요 이제 여기에다예요. 여기에다가 the shortened form of 여기에다가 which means like on here I left a memo so if you don't know just call me. 뭐야 핸드폰까지 바꿔야 돼? Even phones do we have to change? Or do we even have to change phones? And 아빠가 야 지금 너한테 그게 어울린다고 생각하냐? So 그게 is 도연's phone. So do you think that phone suits my body? 지금 너한테 그게 어울린다고 생각하냐? 어울리다. To look good together or to look good on. Do you really think that looks good on you? 그리고 여기도 다구 grammar가 나왔어요. Quotation grammar. And 다구, quotation grammar can also be used to quote one's thoughts. Not just speech, but thoughts as well. So that's why it can be followed by a verb, 생각하다. Do you really think that suits you? 변태 취급 당하기 싫으면 얼른 내놔라고 했어요. 여러분, we learn 취급, we learn 당하다. So what do you think 변태 취급 당하다 mean? 변태 취급 당하다. 일단 변태는요, 여러분, it's a slang word that means pervert or creep. Creep, pervert. So 변태 취급 당하다. What do you think it would mean? 변태 취급 당하기 싫으면 너 얼른 내놔. 일단은 취급 무슨 뜻이었죠? 취급? It's like treat, right? Usually in a negative way. 그쵸? 맞아요. 변태 취급 당하다. To be treated like a creep예요. 이거 배웠죠? I won't go over that again. 그쵸? Being treated like a pervert because 당하다 is a passive verb, right? You are the victim of the action. So 변태 취급 당하기 싫으면 to not want to. If you don't want to be treated as a perv, then 얼른 내놔. Give it to me quickly. 얼른 내놔. 그랬더니 도연이가 그러네. Fair point. 절대로 내 핸드폰 톡 확인하지 마. 절대 or 절대로 they both mean never. And 여기서 톡은요, 여러분. 톡. 이게 톡 is like a slang word for Kakao Talk message. 톡 왔네? Hey, you have a Kakao Talk message. 이런 뜻이에요. 톡 왔어. 톡. So don't check my Kakao Talk message on my phone. 숫자 지워지면 다 뽀록 나니까. 절대로. 알았지? 이게 무슨 말이냐면요. I feel like this is something that you can only understand if you know how Kakao Talk works. So when you send a message to someone, usually there's a number. There's a number. So if this is a one-on-one chat room, usually you will have number 1. And it means you have one person that's on unread. Unread message for one person. And if this number disappears, then it means that person read that message. So this number is kind of like a read or unread message, the Korean version of read or unread. So 숫자 지워지면 if the 숫자, which means this 숫자, this read, unread sign gets erased or it gets removed, then 다 뽀록나. 뽀록나도 여러분, it's a slang word. There's so many slang words, right? So many. Like you don't have to remember all of them, but I guess still it's a fun way to learn the language still. But 뽀록나다 means to be exposed or to get found out. So in this context, she means people like her friends will find out that I read the message and didn't respond. So just leave it on read. That's what she's asking her dad to do. So 숫자 지워지면 다 뽀록 나니까 절대로 알았지? 그리고 지호 선배한테 이상한 톡 보내면 나 콱 죽어버릴 거야. 이거 너무 귀여웠어요. 그리고 if you send like weird Kakao Talk message to 지호 선배, then 나 콱 죽어버릴 거야. Then I'm just gonna kill myself. 이런 뜻이에요. 그랬더니 아빠가 아이씨 아빠 앞에서 like you talk like that in front of your dad. 알았어. 줘. 그리고 딸 자식 다 소용없어. 이씨. 이렇게 말해요. 딸 자식. 일단 딸은 저기예요. daughter란 뜻이고요. 자식 있잖아요, 여러분. 자식. 자식은요. It refers to like children in general, whether a daughter or son. So like 딸 자식 means like your daughter. It basically means my daughter, my child daughter. 딸 자식. 그리고 there's actually another way of saying like of referring to your child, your kid, that I didn't mention yet. 어디 갔지? 여기 있다. Which is 새끼. 여러분 아마 새끼, you guys probably know 새끼 as a swear word, but before it's a swear word, 새끼 is actually a proper term for one's baby. one's baby란 뜻이 있어요. 그래서 이거 사실 이제 one's baby for animals. animals. 그래서 사실 여러분 혹시 offspring, 맞아요. offspring이에요. offspring, baby. Usually for animals, its first meaning, its primary meaning is baby animals, but they then evolved into some sort of swear word these days. 그래서 사실 여러분 이 swear word 들어보셨나요? 개새끼, 개새끼. So this evolved into a swear word, but it actually means dog's baby. 네. It actually means something innocent. Dog's baby. 그래서 아무튼 그렇습니다. 그래서 여기서 아이고 잘 먹네 내 새끼 이러잖아요. So by saying 내 새끼, she's not swearing. She's just showing her love to her daughter. So 새끼입니다. 아무튼 자식 also means offspring, children. So 딸 자식 다 소용없어. 소용없어. It's like useless. There's no use. I've done so many things to my daughter, and then my daughter just loves another guy. That's so useless. So that's why he's saying this. 딸 자식 다 소용없어. 그렇습니다. 아무튼 여러분, we have covered 6 scenes. So how did you like it? Why did it become a bad word? I guess that's how the language evolves, right? I guess. Can you guys, if you're a native English speaker, do you guys know like the history behind swear word? Like how the B word became something that refers to an actual animal to a swear word. I guess, yeah, there might be a reason, but I do not know like the background of it. Anyways, this was fun. 그쵸? The movie itself is really fun. This has been a helpful stream as always. Okay. I'm really glad that it's been helpful. And you can also study the rest of the scenes yourself with the grammar. With the word list that I attached in the link in the description box. So 네, 그렇게 혼자 이렇게 같이 하고 we do it together, and then you also you can also study on your own. So that's a good balance, I think. Class and on your own. Class and study on your own, right? 그래서 I thought this would be a really good, I guess, way to not only have classes but also to provide some good materials to you guys. Question, 선생님. In K-dramas, I hear people often say 는 거야 instead of 고 있어. For example, 원도연 study friend 안경미 says 지금 나한테 장난치는 거야. 지금 나한테 장난치고 있어. 이게 맞아요. 태민님, 이거 I actually explained this in one of my live streams regarding the sentence endings. So actually, I will message you, 태민님, and link you to that that video, that live stream playback. So there I explain about the 는 거야 ending. 그리고 맞아요. 는 거야 ending 진짜 많이 써요. So I will link you to that video. 그 다음에 I'm going to watch the movie now. Yes. 맞아요. 이 movie. I'm sure you're gonna like this movie. You know, fun fact about this movie is that it failed to hit. It wasn't a big hit in Korea by the time it was released because the male actor did DB drunk driving. How do you? I think there's like an actual term for that in English. But because of the male actor's drunk driving, it had to be postponed. Then even after it got released, it didn't get like that good of a response. And that's probably because of that. It's probably related to that. So that's a shame because it's such a fun, a pleasant movie to watch. And also I think it's a really good study material. So I thought it would be nice to share this with you guys. 너무 재밌었어요, 선생님. 많은 도움이 될 것 같아요. 그쵸? 이런 식으로 배우는 거 괜찮죠? 그쵸? Movie very fun. 맞아요. I actually really liked it too. I mean, some people could say it's childish, but then I actually enjoy it. 네, I more see it as entertainment. I especially like the male actor's performance in this movie. It's so good. Like his face, and also his voice. It's really convincing. Like he really convinces the audience that he is actually a girl in his dad's body. So that was really fun. Replay 보시고. I already watched the movie, but I will watch it while studying these notes. 좋아요, 좋아요. You can also watch the movie after you study the whole script, but I guess studying the whole script on your own might be a bit too time consuming, right? So, 근데 어쨌든 해볼 수 있는 데까지 해보면은 괜찮을 것 같아요, 그쵸? And I will also think about 모르겠다. Part 2를 하는 게 좋을지 아닐지 잘 모르겠네요. I'm glad you enjoyed the class, 조쌤님. 그 다음에 문맥에서 다루는 것보다 더 많이 될 것 같아요. 여러분, do you think it's a good idea that I do like more classes based on movies like this? 어때요? 좋은 아이디어 같아요? Would you say that you would be asking for more in the future? 그 다음에 어디 갔어? 잠깐만. 틴트 홍보. 맞아요. 그 음빠. 저는 그 장면 너무 좋아요. 뭐지? 도연이랑 지호 선배랑 버스에서, 그러니까 도연이가 아니라 실제로는 아빠죠. When they're in a bus, and then 그 도연이가 아빠 몸에서 그 아쉬워하는 표정을 짓는데 저는 그게 너무 웃겼어요. 아무튼 그 male actors 표정, facial expressions 너무 웃겨요. 진짜 웃겨요. Alright. I was actually traveling all the time while watching this. 진짜요? Traveling while studying? 오, 아주 한국어에 진심이신가 보네요. Driving while intoxicated. DUI라고 하나요? I think there's an acronym for it, right? 아무튼 drunk driving 때문에 그랬대요. There was so many useful conversational grammar and vocab. I want to listen to the recording over and over. Okay. That's good. That's good to hear. It's always so nice to get positive feedback about the classes. Thank you for the lessons, making them fun, and keeping them up on your channel. 많이 감사합니다. 그리고 선생님, 수업이 너무 감사합니다. It's my first time, but I really have a good time learning and studying. Thank you. I'm so glad. Actually, you know what? 이거를 좀 치울게요. 그리고 오, 진짜요? Actually, you know what? I really like it when I transcribe the movie by myself because it gives me the chance to actually go through the sentences and the phrases and vocab that is used and kind of figure out what would be helpful to include in the classes. Do you know what I mean? So while I'm transcribing, I'm also kind of coming up with the class plans. So, but you know what? At the same time, I would actually appreciate your help. Anyone's help with the transcription. So I really appreciate the offer, 로우님. Thank you so much. 음빠. I'm not sure. 아니요. 음빠 part is not it's not part of the first half, right? I mean, the first quarter. So other than the first quarter of the script, I didn't give English translation, right? Because the entire script, the whole transcript of the entire movie, it's only in Korean, no English translation. But I will think about including the translation for all parts if I have the time. 계속되면 좋을 것 같아요. Okay. Dramas series are way too long, so I might think of just transcribing like one episode or two, right? 재밌었어요. 오케이. 좋아요. 영어 수업 들어주셔서 감사합니다. What time do you start your live stream? It depends on the day. 네. I usually make announcement on the community post. And sometimes I need to postpone it. 네. 근데 아무튼 I'll try to stick to the aforementioned schedule, like the schedule that I announced earlier the first time, and I'll try not to change it. But this time I had to. 미안해요, 여러분. DUI, 그쵸. DUI, 맞아요. acronym. 아무튼 여러분, I will end the class here, and thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I will see you in the next class. 다음 영상 또는 라이브 클래스에서 만나요, 여러분. Thank you so much for joining. 안녕히 가세요. 전 이제 갈게요. 안녕. 좋아요와 구독 부탁드립니다. 맞아요. 좋아요, 구독 부탁드려요. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye. 진짜 끌게요. 다음에 봬요. 사랑해요.